To the Shmuley show live from Germany. So this is going to be a very interesting show. First thing I want to know is that you guys can definitely hear me, because obviously when I'm not in our studio, it's more complicated. So I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So help me here. Can you guys hear me? Great. Okay, I understand that you guys can hear me loud and clear. I have a very close friend, and I want to, and our producer Johnny is listening. So Johnny, I want to invite my dear friend Peter Noel to join us tomorrow. I have a very dear friend who's one of America's most famous black journalists. He's like a brother to me. His name is Peter Noel, and he and I were co-hosts on a 4-hour-a-day morning show in New York in 2003. It exploded. It was called the Peter and Shmuley Show. I love Peter like a brother. Today, he really went after Israel hard on these really Hamas journalists who were masquerading as Al-Qaeda journalists, and Israel took them out, eliminated them, and they're terrorists. And Peter posted a picture of himself with Yasser Arafat. This is a long story, but I'm going to make it very... And he said, hey, I have a picture of Yasser Arafat. Is Israel, you're going to kill me now as well? Well, I hope Peter's listening, but I do want him to come on. Let's just talk about this for a second. The journalist that Israel... Journalist, I say in quotation marks. And Johnny, just send me all the info here on the thing. Here. You guys, I'm going to be looking at your things as well. The quote journalist that Israel eliminated yesterday was a Hamas terrorist. He wasn't even hiding the fact that he was a Hamas terrorist. He just was double dipping. Because not only was he a killer, he was also corrupt. So he was getting a salary both from Al Jazeera as well as Hamas. This is a guy, and what kills me about all of the anti-Semitism we see in the world, the attack on me in Vienna, is that no one cares about facts anymore. You could just malign Jews in any which way, and that's what I mostly fight against, because I provide facts. The IDF showed the whole world real documents that Hamas didn't even dispute, where this journalist is sitting there on the ledger. He is employed by Hamas as a freaking killer. Israel did not assassinate him because he had a picture with Yahya Sinwar, the Hitler of our time. Israel assassinated him because he is a terrorist, because he's a killer. And so I say to my friend Peter, you think that Israel took this guy out because there was one picture of him and Yahya Sinwar? I mean, are you serious? Israel never even said that. Other people posted that all over the place just to show the intimacy between him and Yahya Sinwar. Israel provided actual factual documents that this guy was a frickin' on the payroll of Hamas, paid to murder Jews. And that's what's shocking. All of you guys writing dildo, free Palestine, have fun, my friends. It just shows how this short 5'6" Jew gets under your frickin' skin, because you have no facts. All you have is insults. The anti-Semites have three things: terrorism, to kill us Jews, and any of our supporters. The second thing is bullying. And the third thing is harassment. So they do these giant demonstrations. You'll see there's no facts. It's just always genocide. They don't know what the word genocide means. Israel kills journalists. Israel starving babies. You know the funny thing about the whole Israel starving babies thing is that every time there's a picture of one of these babies, I want all of you haters on, all you people writing dildo and everything, and you really probably need a dildo, all of you sexually repressed anti-Semites. Because I read my article, all anti-Semites are... A lot of it stems from incredible sexual repression, which is really sad. But and sexist marriages or just people whose spouses threw them out because they were too filled with hate. But answer this simple question for me. Every time you see a picture of a child being starved by Israel and Gaza, they're always being held by such a well-nourished parent. I mean, you even had Mike Huckabee say that all of these people claiming starvation from Israel in Gaza actually need to be on Ozempic, and that would cost a lot of money. So you have these, I'm not saying this to be insulting, but you have these obese mothers, obese fathers, holding starving kids. How does that work? So let's say, God forbid, Israel was starving Palestine, Gaza, which is a complete lie, total fabrication. The food is all there, rotting, or the stuff that gets through, Hamas takes 80% of it. And then people come for collection points to get food. Hamas kills them. Okay, but let's say none of that is true. let's say Israel is not delivering any food, which, by the way, would be their right, but Israel's so justified that it does deliver food. No, there is no history of any country fighting an enemy that drops food to the soldiers and the people that they're fighting. But okay, let's say you're right. Israel does that. Simple question. Why are the parents so well fed? Why is it that only the babies are starving? I mean, I have 9 kids. Thank God. And I hope I'm never put in a situation where I, God forbid, have to choose between feeding my children and feeding myself. But I would like to believe that if I ever were put into that situation, it would be an obvious choice. Okay, so here we go again. I'm on a river in Germany. I have a lot to say, but technology is not being our friend right now.
I hear you.
Okay, you guys can hear me now? And yes, you can see me? Okay. Yes. So let me just go through the points I made. Number one, Israel did not kill an Al Jazeera reporter yesterday. They assassinated and eliminated a Hamas terrorist. Israel provided all the evidence. And until Hamas comes and says that Israel fabricated the evidence, even that Israel will respond to. But I don't want to hear your crap of this garbage. I'm sorry, you cannot pretend to be a journalist and then kill people. That's not journalism. Israel did not take this guy out because he took a picture with Yahya Sinwar. They took him out because he worked for Yahya Sinwar. So to my friend Peter Noel, let's not compare the picture that you took with Yasser Arafat when I was there with you with Reverend Al Sharpton in 2001 to you took a picture with Arafat. Nothing wrong with that. You're a journalist. You go in and out of Israel. No one bothers you ever. I've been there with you. We've traveled to Israel together. Israel never has bothered you, Peter. God forbid. 1 out of 5 Israelis are black Jews. So don't give me this racist crap that Israel's an apartheid state. 1 out of 5 Israelis is black. That's more than the United States. 20% of all of Israel are black Jews. In the United States, 15% of the entire American population is black. So it's garbage. So that's the first point. The second point is that Al Jazeera is just disgusting. That Al Jazeera would actually allow themselves to be used repeatedly for terrorism. Qatar is the #1 funder of terrorism in the world, with the sole exception of Iran. So it's Iran and Qatar, and they're joined at the hip. Qatar is disgusting. Sheikh Al Thani is a killer. He's worse than the Iranians in many ways, because the Iranians at least tell you who they are. They say openly, we're going to kill all the Jews, we're terrorists, we're going to Islamitize the entire world. We're all our proxies are going to kill the Jews, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Iran's open about their intentions. Except when it comes to nuclear weapons. We're only building them for peaceful purposes. Yeah, you guys have more oil than almost any country in the world, but your energy you need nuclear energy. We understand. You need it for peaceful purposes. But Qatar is much worse. Al Jazeera is a freaking joke, which is why I love doing Al Arabiya, because it's owned by Saudi Arabia, and I just did it the other day, and you know, I had a fiery debate with Cenk Uygur, who called me a baboon, because again, he's another dumbbell. Here's another brain dead person. So what you're left with is this: why is it that all of the anti-Semites have to write here about me? Dildo rabbi, baboon, Nazi, Gestapo. I'll tell you why. None of you can debate me on the facts. I have won every debate that I've done against the Islamists, anti-Semites, white supremacists, Candace Owens. I've not only won, I've destroyed, eviscerated. That's why almost none of them will debate me again. Try to get Candace Owens. I'll do it right now. Try to get Candace Owens, any of you who are followers of that disgusting reptilian anti-Semite. Why won't she debate me again? Because I used her as a human mop to wipe the floor with her. I used Cenk Uygur many times, every time as a human mop, especially when it came to an Oxford Rules debate that I did in Oxford. Now, is it because that I claim that I'm some great speaker or orator? Well, hold on a second. Is it because... Are we back to this? Are we back to no one hearing me? Oh gosh, hang on. Audio is good, yes. Oh, so why'd you say? Okay, fine. Okay, sorry for all the technical stuff. Why won't these people debate me again? And I'm not saying that I'm a great debater. I'm not saying I'm a great speaker. It's because I know the facts, because I read. Because God gave me a brain and I use it. And I don't use it just to hate people. I don't hate Muslims. I hate Islamists because they're not people. They've erased the image of God from their countenance. They're killers. They want to kill every Jew. They want to kill every Christian. For all of you who saw the attack on me in Vienna just wearing this kippah, just wait until they're finished with the Magen Davids and they get rid of all of them. And then your crosses are next to every Christian who's going to come visiting here in Germany or visiting in Austria. Just wait till the Islamists see your cross, and you're going to be the next Rabbi Shmuley, attacked and shoved on the streets with the police afraid to protect you this time, and holding you for interrogation for 2 hours because they are so afraid of the Islamist mob. Which leads us to the question, why did Europe commit suicide by allowing in all of these Islamists? And let me make the question very clear. Not Muslims. Of course Muslims should be living in every country, just as Jews do, just as Christians do, just as atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, non-affiliated. We're all equal before God. God loves every Muslim man, woman, and child as much as he loves every Jewish man, woman, and child. And I believe that God loves every gay, LGBTQ man, woman, and child as much as he loves every Jew and every Arab. And I know for some of my Muslim brothers and sisters, or some of my Orthodox Jewish brothers and sisters, or some of my evangelical brothers and sisters, that might sound like a heresy. But I'm stating it emphatically, and you got me saying it on record, right? The issue is not Muslims in Europe, God forbid. The issue is Islamists. Now, what's the difference? Islam is a great world religion. It's been around 1,400 years. It was the first to develop the world's first university, started by Fatima in Morocco in the 8th century. It was the first religion to give women inheritance rights. Prophet Muhammad had a Jewish wife, yet married to a Jew. Look at all these disgusting anti-Semites who go against the Prophet. He actually had a Jewish wife. Islam had some of the world's first hospitals and advances in medicine. I could go on and on. So Islam has brought the knowledge to the countries that it has inhabited. What about Islamism, though? What's that? Islamism is a political ideology that was started by the Muslim Brotherhood in about 1922, which only uses Islam as a thin veneer to cover its atrocities. It's almost kind of like what the Crusades did with Christianity. I love my Christian brothers and sisters. I have the deepest respect for Christianity. I've written a giant, thank God, best-selling, highly acclaimed book on Christianity called Kosher Jesus. But the Crusaders, who killed Jews on a lot of these rivers here in Germany, a lot of it happened here in Germany, as they were going to the Holy Land to wrest control of Jerusalem from the Muslims. Back then, it was the Muslims who allowed the Jews to live in Jerusalem, and it was the Christians, fake Christians, the Crusaders, who kicked the Jews out. It was the Crusaders who killed every last Jew in the year 1098 when they conquered Jerusalem after the Crusade was announced in 1096. They killed every last Jew. Then the greatest Muslim conqueror that ever lived, Sultan Salah al-Din, brought all the Jews back and invited them back and protected them. So everything has kind of changed. In the same way, the Crusaders were not real Christians, they were just killers, and they used Christ and Jesus as nothing but a thin veneer to cover over their hatred. That is exactly what Islamism is to Islam today. Hamas are not Muslims, they're Islamists. They trample, and desecrate Islam every single day. Hezbollah, Iran, the Iranian mullahs aren't Muslims. They're the biggest frauds and fakers on earth. They desecrate Islam every single day. They preach. The word jihad really does mean struggle. For those of you who speak Arabic, it means struggle. They've made jihad into something militant and militaristic and lethal. Jihad is supposed to be an inner struggle with yourself, just like Judaism speaks about the good inclination, the evil inclination, the Yetzer Tov, the Yetzer Hara, or what we call in Kabbalah and more in mystical Judaism, the Nefesh Elokis, the Nefesh Bahamis, the godly soul, the animal soul. And the jihad is supposed to be internal jihad. That's not what it is for Iran. For Iran, jihad is about killing you. If you're a Westerner, jihad wants you dead. If you're a woman who wears a tank top, Iran wants you dead. And it will kill you if you go, as they've killed so many of their own citizens. Forget showing a little bit of cleavage. If you show some of your hair, Iran is going to kill you in Iran. They will kill you. They did, many times. So I ask all my European brothers and sisters, as I see myself attacked on the streets of Vienna, as I was attacked also in Spain, in Toledo, which was once the capital in the golden age of Spanish Jewry. How did all of your countries allow themselves to commit moral suicide? How do you live with such ethical bankruptcy by allowing Islamists, not Muslims, my brothers, but Islamists, my enemies, Christianity's enemies, secularists' enemies, LGBTQ's enemies, women's enemies. How did you allow them all to take over your continent? I really don't get it. I want to make sure that you all can hear me. I'm checking here. Checking one more time. Where was your voice? If anyone who's in Europe right now and sees all the attacks on me, just for anyone to keep, I haven't heard anyone. I speak out in favor of Islam. I speak out to protect Muslims all over the world. My organization, the World Values Network, took out a massive full-page ad in the New York Times to protect the Arabs of Syria when they were experiencing a true genocide under Bashar al-Assad, where he killed 600,000 Arabs. I supported the war in Iraq, even though most Americans, now really regret it, because Saddam Hussein had killed 800,000 Muslims, 800,000 Arabs. These are the true genocidaires. I was one of the greatest, most vocal spokespeople for Arab life at that time and since then. That has nothing to do with Islamists taking over Berlin and demonstrating every day, harassing Jews and calling for Israel and Jews to be annihilated, as we were annihilated in Berlin. Loving Islam has nothing to do with allowing Islamists to take over the city of Toledo, the ancient capital of Spain, and call for the river to the sea, the murder of every Jew in Israel. Loving Islam and protecting Muslims and Arab life has nothing to do with allowing Islamists to take over the city of Vienna in the Stefanplatz, as I experienced this past week. Those weren't Muslims. Those are disgusting Islamists. They hate me just for being a Jew. I don't hate any Muslim. I love my Muslim brothers and sisters, and I love Islam. It's an incredible religion. So much of it is so similar to Judaism. The laws of kosher, the laws of halal, the hadith, which is the oral interpretation for the Quran, just like our Mishnah and Talmud is for the Pentateuch, the five books of Moses and Torah. There's so many similarities. Men and women pray separately, unlike in a church, in a shul, in a synagogue. Men and women pray separately just as they do, just as they do in a mosque. It's the Islamists who are destroying the whole world. They tried to destroy every major American campus. Again, let me check that I'm okay. The Islamists tried to destroy Harvard and almost got away with it until Trump, with some tough love, saved Harvard. They destroyed Columbia, which kind of remains destroyed. We'll see if that can ever come back, because the Islamists rule Columbia completely. Not Muslims, again, Islamists. They tried to destroy MIT. They've destroyed Berkeley completely. These are America's great universities. But Trump came along and stopped the Islamists from taking over these university campuses. But in Europe, no one's stopping them. In Europe, you have 200,000 Islamists. Again, not Muslims. Britain has 2 million Muslims. So 10%, let's say, are Islamists. They're taking over the streets and cursing out Jews day and night and threatening and saying clearly their intention is a genocide of the Jews, river to the sea. 6 million Jews are living in Israel right now. Very eerie number, especially being here in Germany. We're going to kill every Jew. And they just go on and on and on about it. And the British police do nothing. This past weekend was the first time the British police did anything. You know what that was? They finally arrested 250 Islamists. Now, why did they arrest them? They did not arrest them because they were calling for the genocide of the Jewish people. That's perfectly acceptable in Britain today. They arrested them because they actually breached in a Royal Air Force base and started trying to destroy Britain's own defensive infrastructure. It's fighter jets. That's how crazy these people are. How did Europe commit moral suicide? How did Europe allow these people? So this is how I see it when it comes to the issue of immigration. Should Muslims be allowed into Austria, Belgium, Britain, France? Of course. Just like Jews. Of course. Should Islamists? Absolutely not. In the same way, we wouldn't allow in neo-Nazis, who are white supremacists. They're my color. Oh no, they probably would call me, I don't know, a dog or Jewish filth. Who the heck knows what. Muslims, of course. Islamists, never. And that's why the main thing that should characterize immigration into the United States and Europe, if Western culture and civilization is to be saved, is to check people's social media posts, if they have them, to see. If you want to come to live in London and you hate democracy and you don't believe that anyone should be allowed to vote, if you want to come live in London and you have tons of social media posts saying that women should be subjugated, that women who wear, I don't know, a tank top in the summer should be beaten up or something, why the hell would they let you into the country? And that's, conversely, if you're frickin' as Aryan looking as Reinhard Heydrich was, okay? Worst Nazi, architect of the final solution, who was killed by Czech partisans in 1942. They were so brave. The only high-ranking Nazi that was assassinated during the entire war, even though they did try with Hitler, with Klaus von Stauffenberg, on the 20th of July, 1944. But you could be as white as Reinhard Heydrich, blonde hair, blue eyes, but if you're writing stuff like that as well, I hate the Jews, or I hate the Muslims, or I hate women, or I hate gays, and I want to immigrate from, say, I don't know, Australia to Britain, why would Britain let you in? I don't care what religion you are. Now, what about people who don't have social media posts? What do you do then? You give them an interview, and you ask them, and you film it, so that and you tell them their community is going to see this later if they ever violate it, and you ask them outright. You want to, you're Jewish, or you're Muslim, or you're Israeli, or you're Emirati. You want to move, let's say, to France. They interview you. What do you think? And they ask you with a camera on you and your family. What is your opinion about democracy? Well, I believe one person, one vote. Great. What do you think about women voting? I believe in it fully. What do you think about living together in a multicultural society with Jews, Muslims, Catholics, Christians, atheists living life? I love it. I embrace it. I feel enriched by difference. That person should be granted citizenship, based on the country's rules and guidelines. But that person's, no matter if they're the most devout Muslim wearing a hijab, that's their choice. I believe in absolute choice. By the way, France doesn't even allow women to go to school wearing the hijab or a kippah now, because they've lost control. So now they have to, because they underdid it for so many years, now they have to overdo it. But if you do this immigration interrogation, and you ask them these simple questions, and you ask someone whether they're Jewish or Muslim or a white supremacist, and you say, are you okay with women dressing however they want, according to the country's rules? And they say, no, never. I want to see a society where women are covered completely, and I will agitate for that publicly. You're going to let them into the country? Are you freaking nuts? If you ask the person, do you believe that Israel has a right to exist and defend itself? And they say, no, I hate Jews and I hate Israel and I hope Israel should be, Zionists should all be killed or something. You're going to let the guy into Europe? Are you crazy? You don't think they're going to turn against, even if you don't care about Jewish life, you don't think they're going to turn against Christianity soon, right after that? Remember, Iran hates Israel because it's the little Satan. It's the little Western outpost representing the kind of values that Western Europe and the United States, Israel's that little outpost, and that's what Iran wants to destroy. And it's that simple. But I got to tell you, when I see that Europe has basically committed suicide by allowing in all these haters, anti-Semites, they say Zionism, they don't even say Zionists anymore, they say openly Jews. To all of you who are in Australia, do you not know that your country's been taken away from you? I used to love Australia. I married an Australian. My 9 children, I'm the father of 9 Australian citizens. I lived in Australia for 2 years in Bondi, the most beautiful suburb in the world, maybe. I thought of living in Australia the rest of my life in a rabbinic position that was offered to me. In the end, I was offered to become the rabbi at Oxford University, and Lubavitcher Rebbe sent me there. My wife and I went there with no family. We went there to spread Judaism. We had tons of Arab students who were our members, tons of Muslims. I love them, and I'm friendly with many of them until this very day. But what do I think about Australia now? Ugh, what the hell happened? What happened to your country? And why did you allow it? Again, not Muslims, Islamists. Australia, how did you allow hundreds of thousands of Islamists to come into the country who hate your culture, who hate your Western way of life, who hate women's rights, who hate LGBTQ rights, who want to see gay men and women hung from cranes in frickin' Sydney or Melbourne or Perth or Brisbane or Darwin? How have you allowed this? You guys have built countries just to see them taken over by such radicals. You have 100,000 people marching across the Sydney Harbour Bridge 2 Saturdays ago. Now, what are they marching? They say, well, we're marching for the people in Gaza. Okay, interesting. Really? Do you think the people, let's say there's no Israel, do you think the people in Gaza should be ruled by Hamas? Is that what you're marching for, to protect Hamas? Do you think that an Arab girl, 16 or 17, who has premarital sex, should she be killed by her brothers, by her uncle, to preserve family honor? Is that what you were marching for? And if you weren't, at least say that. At least say, we hate Hamas, they're killers. We just don't like Israel either. At least that's balance. But all you did was attack Israel. That's called anti-Semitism. Where were all of you when 600,000 Arabs, all of you Australians who marched against Israel, where were you when 600,000 Arabs were slaughtered and murdered by Bashar al-Assad? I took out full-page ads in the New York Times, and I wrote article after article, and we even did demonstrations outside the Israeli Knesset with our Israeli brothers and sisters, we American Jews, that Israel should protect Muslim life, Arab life in Syria. Where were all of you? You were nowhere to be found. And why? Because you couldn't give one crap about Arab life, sadly. I care 1,000 times more than any of you idiots writing all this anti-Semitic drivel on my feed right now. All you do is hate Israel. You just want to see Jews dead. And you're prepared to even sacrifice innocent Arab children and let them starve. You want to see those emaciated, fraudulent images, some of which might be true because Hamas is shooting people who are coming to the feeding stations, to the food stations. You'd rather see these people die just so you can target Jews. But in the end, your countries are going to hell in a handbasket. Your countries are going to hell in a handbasket. Let me repeat that. Your countries are going to hell in a handbasket. I don't even recognize Australia anymore. I want to check my audio again. Let me ask. Johnny, if you can hear me, just tell me that I'm okay, hopefully. Yeah, great. Okay, good. Now, I want to, in a lot of these lives, what I want to start doing is actually taking your questions and hear you guys, and we might just try it once. Okay. Should I take the guy that says F Israel? I love these guys. Let's hear. Let me just see. I'm going to try this once. Here, let me ask. Give me a second. Let me take this person on because they're a critic, but they seem fair. Hold on a second. Why can't I get you? Oh, here, let's see. To kill Christians. First of all, that's garbage. It was a Jew who protested the Armenian genocide in 1916 to 1918, and his name was Morgenthau, and he was the American ambassador in Istanbul. It was a Jew who brought it to the world's attention. And unfortunately, the relationship, and I worked very hard to alert the world till today, spread the knowledge of the Armenian genocide for my Christian brothers and sisters who were slaughtered by the Ottoman Turks between 1916 and 19. We don't know the exact numbers, but it was at least 2.5 million. It might have been as many as 3.5 million. Israel, unfortunately, thinks that it can win over this idiot, disgusting Islamist, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, by not, they're hoping to win him back because Turkey was once an ally until he became the president. And Israel here is making a big mistake. And by the way, I love Israel with my heart, my soul. My sons and my daughter fight for Israel in the IDF. That doesn't mean Israel's perfect. I love Israel. For the threats that it's facing, it's the most majestic and righteous country on earth. There's no question about it. But no, it's not perfect. No country's perfect. And Israel's refusal or failure up until now to recognize the Armenian genocide is very problematic for me as a Jew. And I've told this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I love, who's the greatest prime minister Israel ever produced. I've told this to the leading ministers of Israel, but they think, but then we say goodbye to our whole relationship with Turkey. I say, said goodbye to it already. He's already said that Erdogan has already said he wants to send his army to fight Israel. I mean, he's a goner. We have to win back our Armenian brothers and sisters. Azerbaijan and the Armenian war is very difficult. It's forcing Israel to take sides, as sometimes happens, but I'm so grateful to President Trump, who's trying to create peace now between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But I love my Armenian brothers and sisters, and I've proved that love 1,000 times with how much I've done personally. Such a passion of mine to educate the world about the Armenian genocide. Let me see what else we have. This other guy keeps on saying F Israel, so thank you, appreciate that. Glad to see that you have a tremendous command of language. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to go off now. I hope you really enjoyed this incredible. Hang on a second. 1 second. Hang on 1 second. I want to invite for 6:30. Okay, wait a second. That's funny. Some information for the upcoming. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on going because the announcement was made. Okay. Let me respond to some of the other things. I like this, that you don't win anything. Christians rules now. Okay, so all of the people who are saying to me that they're Christians and they want to respect Christianity, why have you allowed in Christian countries, and I'm a Jew who lives in a Christian country. America's a Christian country. Not officially, but it's a Christian country. And I have no issue with that. I love saying I love hearing that my Christian brothers and sisters um, are openly passionate. That my evangelical brothers, especially in the United States, wearing crosses, celebrating Christmas, not happy holidays. But why has Western Christianity allowed their entire culture and civilization to be eviscerated? Not by allowing Muslims in, God forbid. That's not going to do it. Islam accepts Jesus as a prophet by allowing Islamists who hate you, who hate your freaking guts, and who want you dead. How has that happened? Okay, let me read more. Jews spit on Christians? Okay, so whoever said that, I want to bring you on for a second. Tell me why you think that. Hold on. Jews spit on Christians. Are you freaking kidding me? You're kidding me, right? Have you ever been to Israel? Do you know that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre has been protected by Israel and open to Christians? I decline. Okay, that is a Tucker Carlson lie. Tucker Carlson, who, you know, has become one of the most rabid anti-Semites in America, and every day he had a nun on the other day who was saying that Christians are persecuted in Israel. Any Christian who has visited Israel, there are more Christian tourists to Israel than there are Jews who visit Israel, because of course the numbers can't compare. There's 1.9 billion Christians, Catholics and Protestants in the world, is only 14 million Jews. I want one Christian who visited Israel to tell me that they were treated with anything but love and respect. I want one Muslim who came, a Muslim American or a French Muslim who went to Israel, who will show me that you were treated with anything but respect. You might have been questioned as you boarded an all flight if someone bought you a gift and it's your own packaging, and I get the same questioning. That would be about it. If you had a bad experience, tell me about it, because it's all garbage. But especially to say that Jews spit on Christians, are you freaking out of your mind? I mean, Jesus was a Jew. You do know that, right? Okay, let's see. Oh, I love this one. Hitler killed Jews. Hitler killed. I'm writing you on. Well, Hitler killed Muslims too. What are you talking about? Hitler had a genocide against Muslims. Do you know that the Mufti of Jerusalem actually became a Nazi? He literally joined the Nazi party, the Mufti of Jerusalem, al-Husseini, and moved to Berlin and was protected by Hitler. Are you aware of that? How could you say that Hitler had his intention of killing Muslims? The genocide was against the Jewish people. Let's not change that. Okay? It's like when people say to me that they hate Islamophobia. I hate Islamophobia. I fight Islamophobia anywhere I find it, whether it's in the Jewish community, whether it's among Christians, whether it's anywhere. But Islamist phobia is just a hatred of terrorism. It's like hating Al Qaeda. If you hate Al Qaeda, you're not an Islamophobe. You love Islam or you respect Islam, but you hate Al Qaeda. You hate the people who perpetrated 9/11. That is not Islamophobia. That is terrorphobia, and I am absolutely a terrorphobe. I hate terrorists. Let me go on. Okay, so here's someone saying free Palestine. Let me get you on for a second. Come on. When you say free Palestine, do you also think that Palestine should be freed from Hamas, or just from, because Israel freed Palestine, as it were. Israel left Palestine 20 years ago. The 20th anniversary was 5 days ago to the day, 20 years. Not only did the IDF leave, they removed all the Jewish settlements. They forcibly removed Jews, including my wife's cousins, my wife Debbie's cousins. They literally, the IDF destroyed every Jewish home. They destroyed every Jewish community and forced the Jews out. So Gaza was completely free. And what did they do with it? They turned it into just a giant military base to kill Jews. They stole all the money. What? For all of you who hate Israel, anti-Semites, doesn't it at least bother you even this much that all of these Hamas leaders are billionaires? Doesn't that bother you like this much? Not even this much that Ismail Haniyeh assassinated by Israel. His kids are now fighting over his $7 billion fortune, much of it invested in Istanbul real estate. None of that bothers you? I love this. Here, let me bring Max on. I debated Cenk Uygur, and he got my tush or something. Come on and tell me how that happened. I annihilated Cenk completely. And if you really want to see true annihilation, then watch the Oxford debate. In fact, Johnny, if you're listening, make sure the Oxford Union. I mean, we did it as a live stream as well, the Cenk Uygur debate. But I want to see the professional audio. I annihilated Cenk Uygur. It wasn't that hard. He is completely brain dead. That's why he always. First of all, I'm kind of worried for Cenk. My buddy Cenk. We shook hands afterward, because he gets so riled up. He hates Jews so much that when he debates, you'll see that veins in his neck are popping, and he's sweating, and like I'm afraid he's gonna have a myocardial infarction, heart attack. I told him that. You just hate Jews too much. You got to calm the hatred of Jews down a little bit so that you freaking don't die over it. I mean, my buddy Cenk, if anyone, if you could communicate is Cenk, listen, my brother, you've called me a baboon, a Nazi, an ape. You said I smell, God knows what else. You're a very well-read, very intelligent man. But with all of that, with all your hatred, I don't want anything to happen to you, my brother. I'm really worried about your health. Your anti-Semitism has reached a level where it's really endangering your health, and I'm worried about you, my brother. You gotta take it down a notch. You have to go from where you are right now, let's gas all the Jews, to just let's only kill, half the Jews. Even if you took it down a notch, you probably wouldn't. No, you'd still have a heart attack. You have to take it down to let's not gas all the Jews. We should just enslave them, let them die of natural causes. Is that it? Can we agree that between us, Cenk, just so we can preserve your health? Okay. I'm going to do one last question here. Maximilian said he never called me an ape. He actually tweeted it yesterday that he called me. That's what I mean about the lies told by the anti-Semites. This Max, whoever it is, just said that Cenk never called me an ape. First of all, go to Pierce Morgan Uncensored and see the actual clips, how he did it 3 times in that one debate. But yesterday, something called Free Palestine wrote that Cenk Uygur called Shmuley a baboon and an ape, and Cenk himself retweeted it and reposted it. Max, I guess that's why you won't come on with me, right? I'm going to take one last person. Here, Ryan. Why did Israel assassinate 4 Al Jazeera journalists? That was my whole show today, baby. They weren't journalists. Israel published the actual payrolls of Hamas. They were actually on the Hamas payroll. Oh, he's coming on. Okay, whatever. That wasn't very nice, but that's what you can expect from the anti-Semites. They're disgusting. They're gross. That's why I have to be careful who I bring on. But Israel assassinated Hamas terrorists who were masquerading as Al Jazeera journalists, and Israel provided all the evidence, and Hamas never even said once that those payrolls that Israel provided are not true. Okay, guys, God bless you all. And to the guy that just flashed his whatever you flashed, on the little side, if I may say. Take care, guys.